Hey y'all, it's Nikki of Soul Things Botanica, and you are listening to the How to Be Magical podcast. And we are in the second season, and this will be the fourth episode, and working with a very special guest, Elio. I like to think of Elio as one of our very historians of the in terms of our spiritual origins, as well as genealogical origins and our historical origins. And I think it's real important that we address all of those. We are talking about which is Espiritismo, which has a lot of nuance throughout the diaspora about what constitutes as Espiritismo. There are different branches on different islands, but I brought Elio on today to talk about Espiritismo with me because he too is an Espiritista, and there's not a lot of us. We're not the popular kid table, so to speak. But we popular. I will say we are probably one of the most popping tables on the low that people really don't understand. You know, specifically talking about our tables, we popping. It's like very practice. So I just want to ask to start. Like, what's your definition?
Oh, okay. First off, you flatter me. Like, that was the most. People who know me personally are gonna be like, God damn, like these accolades. But thank you so much. And this is you're like the second person. People see my Instagram name. My name is Elliot. But the way it was, I guess you must have seen the old name where it's like I squeeze it all together. So people do Elio without a problem, but I don't mind. I really do not mind at all. There must be something like energetically significant about that sound that I just haven't given much thought to.
Okay.
Yeah. But I wouldn't know how to define Espiritismo, to be honest with you, and I've never really given that. Like, I haven't given that much thought. So I guess I'm gonna hold up a mirror and reflect it back to you, and then we could like jump off, because unless I have the seed in my head already, I mean, like, it's like, okay, like for example, Espiritista, do you become one or are you born an Espiritista? So it's like what is or what is not Espiritismo in practice in our daily lives? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's
well, I think it's good when you just said like, are you? I feel like I was born in the Spiritista, and I feel like
I think it's innate. You could definitely learn it, and you can unlock things. But
but
even
like,
that, you're born, you are attracted to it from birth.
Yeah, I feel like the things. I guess that's where like the colonialism part comes in, because each island was so different, and because people were able to express themselves differently. We have like. Culturally, we have different terms for things, like recognizing certain things. And then we also have different ways of not acknowledging certain things based on where you are culturally with it. So like, I don't know, I was raised in a very Christian house with my grandmother. But my grandmother was like, she was like a strange
because regional and cultural nuance matters. So
yeah, so she's American. Okay, so this grandmother's American, right? She's from Brooklyn. Like, she's been in Brooklyn for her whole life. She's like, her family's from the South, but she's from Brooklyn. Like, been here forever and a day. She's
great migration generation family.
Yes. Wow. And she's very Christian, right? But at the same time,
Kojic Christian.
Not Kojic Christian. She was not Kojic Christian. That would have been. I wouldn't have been that pleased. I can only have been so lucky. She was more cryptic than that. Okay, because I feel like Kojic Christian was you putting it all on the table. She was more she was Methodist, right? So like, Methodist is very like straightforward by the book. It's not quite Catholic, right? It's not as strict as Catholicism, but they have a lot of rules and rigor. And then we did a lot of like there was a lot of prayers before we left the house, and like prayers for different things, petitions for lost items to certain saints, certain like it was all of these things.
This in a Christian house?
Yeah.
Really?
And it was very like, there were certain things that my grandmother would do. Like, she would like do certain things that I guess would fall under the umbrella of hoodoo, you know. like fixing certain stuff and doing things with different peppers and things in the freezer. And yeah, it was a lot of that. So like when he's like, wait a minute. Yeah, my grandmother was real. She was very
busy.
She was very interesting. She was an interesting little old lady. But I feel like going to school in Spanish Harlem exposed me to Espiritismo and Santeria at large.
Familiar to you in like a weird way.
And it was like I would go to friends' houses. Some always had them over the or like a little table in the cut, with a plate of food that you didn't touch, and like all of this stuff that was never like, it wasn't weird, it wasn't weird. It wasn't weird at all. And like I feel like the way that my grandmother used to talk about my grandfather who had passed before I was born, she talked about him like he was still in the house with us. Like it was like I was raised with this man. It was like he was gonna walk through the door any moment. The way they talked about him, he was so. So
that's beautiful.
So to me, like the practice of keeping for me started with just having knowledge and like people that had recent ancestors, like recently deceased people I knew of, but I had never physically met them,
right.
And I made the table as a place for like them, not realizing that there was going to be other spirits that walk with me that don't have nothing to do with my family, like it's like, and it's like what that means. But I feel like being able to be open to the concept of, this is my grandfather who died years before I was born, but that's my man's, and we chilling, and everybody says that we, our personalities are so similar and things like that. So it was literally being
or even scarier, no, you are him.
But
which happens too.
I mean, but then even to have a friend of mine, years ago to come through and be like, yo, there's a man in the backyard. And I'm like, word, what he look like? And then she's like, he looked like this, he looked like this. I went straight to my table and showed her a picture of my grandfather. She was like, oh my God, that's him. I was like, oh, well.
That's scary. Oh, see, I'm not there, and I kind of don't want to be there. Because my experiences are intense enough.
Oh, God.
Like, I don't...
well, tell me about your experience. Like, what was, like, your first earliest you could have of, like, that
oh, boy. Working it on my own or just like being around it?
Like on your own, like your first, like I felt a connection, like, oh, there's something here, or there's somebody here,
Oh, well, the dreams were enough for me. But we do silly things when we're growing in our BDT stuff. So, I constructed something for someone that I had no business doing.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say who or what, but those that know what you construct, quote unquote, you shouldn't be doing. And she punched me in the stomach. And I said, okay, this is cool.
This is cool.
So I took that sucker down right away. But it's weird because I'm aware and I'm conscious of what I'm feeling and what I'm experiencing. But once I walk away from the both of that, I'm like, what? It kind of stays there. But I noticed that I didn't need things being explained to me. I was just doing things.
Okay.
And it would be my mother that would call out, your grandmother used to do that, or that looks familiar, or even better, that smells familiar. If I'm doing something and it smells familiar, that means that I'm on the right path. So it was a lot of trial and error, which in the beginning is, accepted so long as you don't petition anything. And that's one thing that I was taught not to do. And I still don't know, if you ask me, or if you tell me a story, or I asked this saint for that, or I did this, I'm looking at you confused. Like, how did you do that? I don't know how to. I think that's one thing I was never taught, and still don't know how to do. And I'm glad I don't. I kind of stay away from doing. I feel like that's out of my spiritual jurisdiction. But seeing other people's bovedas and spiritual development, and even the way that they work spirit in their home, it felt like something I should have been doing years before I actually started doing it. And when I started to actually, it was, like a puppet. I felt like my, like it was like I didn't feel alone throughout the whole process. So every interaction is always something there.
It's funny
all the time.
You said like a puppet, and I know exactly what you meant. I'm just like,
right, like why am I doing
this? It is 4 o'clock in the morning.
Why do y'all want basil in the bowl without water today? Fine. Like I wake up with the impulse, and it's something that like, because when you see someone else do something, you're like, oh, I want to do that. For me, there's an idea in my head that I've never seen, and it's not until I Google it to understand the spiritual significance that I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting that y'all want me to do this, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. So a lot of it is compulsion, but it's not me actually. It's not me being the compulsive one.
No, that's funny you say that, because I have those thoughts sometimes too, where I'm just like, am I just wanting to spend money on random things? I'm like, listen, I had no personal need for dinner or health. Okay, that was not my personal. But I kept on.
Listen, what you want from the boba that looks very different from what you end up buying.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I'm on Etsy looking at squirrel parts. Like, what's the price?
Fountain pen. Why do I want a fountain pen? Why do I want parchment paper? Yo, I know exactly who it was. I was asking for that. Because once I found it, all made sense as to why I enjoy writing on expensive paper and with expensive pens. Because one of my ancestors was, and like I say ancestors, I don't feel like counting the number of grades, but he's third or fourth grade, so great around there. He was the public officiate for Villamella in the Dominican Republic. So he wrote several hundred birth certificates, marriage certificates, death certificates. It's like, and it explains why I'm obsessed with everybody else's birth, marriage, and death certificates.
Yes, that's so, that's crazy. Yo, that is so interesting, but that's literally how it is. Like,
that is how it is.
You'll have like certain gifts and interests that just run in the family, and as you start to do your work spiritually,
that's where it comes from.
You'll be like, oh, it comes from you. That's you, and it's been
you. Mais c'est toi. It's been you.
I don't know. To me, I always see, like, in my mind, I just see like, this is a real person, like each spirit that engages at this table is a real person. They got their own personality, their own way they feel about things, like their own perspective on things. Like, I don't engage with all of them the same way, like it's just a
right. I was just interrupted by the stupid scam, likely. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But no, I was just saying, like, how when you learn the specific things about the spirits, that it deepens your relationship with them, because now it's so, like, it gets very intricate and personal, and it's like getting to know any member of your family. Like, this person has their own way of thinking about things, and they have their own, tastes and personality.
And peep this: those people, when they were alive, had their own cuadro. Had their own guardian angelship, so there's a lot to recognize. And then, what do they call them? Like generational spirits.
Yep.
You start to notice who's always been around, who's always gonna be there, who you're gonna pass on to your kids, because that's just the energy that your bloodline's been rocking with since forever. Since forever. Like, who was the first madama? That some of us come from, we all know who the first Congos were, because if you got that follow connection, that's it.
Yeah, the Congos, my Congos, they rock. We rocking hard and heavy over here. It's a lot of Congo energy in this house.
That I'm waiting for the professionals in that realm to speak to.
Oh, well, we can
Yeah.
talk off. We can talk off air.
Oh, okay. Because we gotta be frank as a gay man. There's this if ands and buts about that. However,
there is. However,
Spirit says, Rula says, and Spirit speaks. So
exactly, Spirit wants what Spirit wants, and it's
thank you.
I done seen with my own eyes. Spirits be like, listen, I don't understand what you're doing. All right, that ain't got nothing to do with me, but you cool with me, and then be like, well. Well, I'm not about to argue with how many 100 years old spirit.
That's what brought me to Ocha in the first place.
Like,
mm-hmm.
like, so that even things like that too. I feel like because the spiritismo is so personal,
right?
It's your family, what's in your blood. It's not. I don't want to say it's not as dogmatic, but it has a lot to come and be who they really are. But spirit. Yeah, about none of that. Like if you didn't,
the dogma develops over time. You develop like what I do at my bova that I wouldn't do at yours.
Mm-hmm.
But I would greet it the same way. Knock 3 times. Bring some flowers, a little bit of rum, whatever they drink.
Rub,
you know, something. Got to bring a gift. Some coconut. That's all. Can't go wrong with coconut.
Can't go wrong
at all. Or even bring a little thing of cascarilla. Ooh, shit. It's only $1, so there's no reason.
Already, okay? They already.
They're like, oh, what's that?
They're
that's
like,
that's that really? Good white. That's that good white.
And that's the thing. It's like,
rub it on your hands and slap your neck real quick.
Real quick, bro. Slap. You feel nice and fresh.
Oh my god.
But it's like it's a lifestyle. I don't know. Like I can't. I understand how it took me so long to get where I was. Like my first altar, maybe was like I was in my 20s. I was like 24.
Same here. I was 22.
Like something like 20, like between 22 and 24. I was young, and I just remember I came across a book, and it was nothing about Espiritismo. It was about Ocha, actually. But I don't know. I just was like, oh my gosh, I need to like have space for my people. Like I was just like I kept feeling.
That's funny that you read a book about an entirely distinct, like its own religion, and the first thing you were obsessed with was, oh no, I need to do my own ancestors. I can't touch this yet. That's funny.
And then I remember I was always thinking about a certain grandmother. I kept on thinking about her. And I was like, why am I always thinking about this woman? And at the same time, I started collecting all of these little elephant statues. So, like, maybe about the 5th elephant statue, my mom was like, your great-grandmother used to collect elephants. I was like, all over the house. They were like, all over the house. I was like, are you serious? She was like,
I'm collecting elephants as well. I don't know who that is. That could be Ori. That could be Obatala.
It could.
Our family has always collected elephants. So,
I've always loved elephants, and this grandmother, I never met her, so it was just like, for me to be thinking about her, and then for me to collect the elephants, and then to find out that she was collecting elephants at the same time, it was like, oh, so I remember I had my first altar. It was literally an elephant statue, a cup of water, and a candle.
No, okay, let me tell you something. We're going to take a pause, because for all the folks listening, they're like, how do I do this? How do I get it Ocha? Even Oriates will tell you, Babalaos will tell you, Santeros will tell you, Olorishas will tell you, even sound-minded Iyawos will tell you, the first thing you need to do is have a damn bóveda. And all you need is 1 candle and 1 cup. And if you're lucky, like Nikki, a familiar, like an elephant.
That's it.
And that's it.
I didn't even have no rum. I had no flowers. I have nothing. The full elaborate setup that I have now, that came over years. This is years.
For me, I did the most. I said, what is a bóveda? And I looked at what the basic needs. So I jumped to 6. But interesting things started happening with the 6 cups. They said bring it to 1. And I mean, like, interesting. Like, whole shelves have fallen on the altar. And not 1 cup is broken. Cups have fallen and just spilled the water. And I'm talking like 2 feet off the ground. A glass goblet has fallen that did not shatter.
Oh no! See,
so I get like interesting, because if it breaks, you know what that means. But what does it mean if it falls?
What if it falls?
And it should have broke.
Mm-hmm. That means you're doing too much.
Mm-hmm. No, for real.
That means
for
too
real.
much is going on.
Like, we're good. We're good.
We're good. We're good.
You're drowning us, bro.
Yeah, we're good. You're good. You're good. We're good. Mm-hmm. Okay.
They like the one goblet. I've had the one goblet for like a year now. Yeah, I'm chilling. Yeah. But they want that. They want that. I'm getting the urge though. I'm like, is it me or is it them? That's another fun thing. Like, who wants this? Is it ego or is it spirit?
Yeah, that is also gosh. Like again, like I know the things that I fully enjoy for myself, interesting because like learning some things about my spiritual foundation or whatever. And to me specifically, I was like, oh, I was able to like compartmentalize myself from my muertos even further because I'd be like, oh, there's certain things that I know this is
not me. Like I don't like this.
Like this is not me at all, or this is all me. Like like I'll take the L on this one, y'all. I know I'm full of shit. I know, and like own it. And then there'll be some stuff I'll be like, listen, I don't know why y'all asking me to help this, and the third. They ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't know which one of y'all is up, what y'all up to, but
like when I start craving spicy food, I can't do that.
See,
as so far based on who my orisha is, I can't do spicy food, and I've never liked spicy food, but there are times where I'm like, I just want to bite into a jalapeno right now.
Yeah, it's like no, somebody wants some, and it's like. I don't know. To me, I liked the thing that I enjoy most about it is that I get to fully, be myself at my boba. Like there's nothing.
Oh my god.
Like there is nothing that we have not talked about. We talked about it all,
and you don't even have to explain it because they're kind of responsible for it. So like,
but it's like, but in terms of being honest with myself, because there's some people, they never want to tell the truth to themselves. Like, listen, if you with yourself, you gotta at least be able to tell the truth with yourself because there's only so much you're gonna be able to, say, oh, everything is fine or everything's okay or I'm cool with this or no, that doesn't really bother me. Like. At some point, you got to get real with yourself and be like, nah, like, I don't like this, or I'm so happy that this is this, that, and the third. Like,
just don't curse at the boy.
No.
Just do it in your head.
Yeah. I literally, it's literally like if I'm sitting there talking to my grandma. Like, I know how to, it's literally like, I don't know, just see it as a little. In movies when they show like the tribunal or something like that, and be like a little.
God, you're not the only one. Thank you. Oh my God, I'm not the only one.
It'd be like a little some type of.
It's like a court. It's a court. It's the Supreme Court. It's the Supreme Court, and there's all of them dressed.
You stand in the front,
dressed in kente cloth and everything.
It's like kente cloth. Exactly.
It's like the United Nations of your ancestors, and then way in the back is this group of just like black shadows that's like egging.
Egos, exactly. That's just egos.
They just mumble and
yeah, you like,
they're like the Charlie Brown voices. Ooh, exactly.
Okay.
Yo,
who is that?
I had a dream where these. You ever seen Pocahontas?
Yeah, I've seen Pocahontas.
Of course, right. So the scenes with Grandmother Willow, where she literally comes out of the tree.
Willow.
Let me tell you, I had this dream. I woke up in the dream. Everyone knows what that means.
Yes.
In this dark space, but it didn't feel, like a scary dark space. It was just like a dimly lit room. But it was outdoors. And way in the distance, I could see, a couple 100 feet from me was a forest. But out of the dirt and out of the trees they came. Hundreds of them, slowly, not like coming from me, but they just walked out. They presented themselves with the beautiful robes, and they held out their arms, like beckoning me to them, right?
Oh God!
And these were old ass African people. I don't know from where they came from. All I know is that they came from the dirt and the trees. So, people, if your listeners know what that means, please reach out to me. But they came, and then I approached them, and one of them stuck out their hand to shake my hand. But when I looked at it, I saw like the holograph of other hands, like shadow hands around them. So it wasn't just them; it was their dead along with them. It was multiple levels of dead.
It was just levels of dead.
Wow. Yeah, honey. That was a number. So things like that. So then I'm like, okay, I'm presented with, all right, that you can't Google anything about palo.
No.
And if you end up finding, but let me tell you, I'm gonna send you some links. We're gonna talk offline. I found the whole Munan Solite handbook, baby. Yeah.
See,
but it's legit.
Yo, I've seen some.
But I think it's legit because like it was super long and like formal, and I sent it to like the woman who was my godmother not too long ago, and she's like, "Where the fuck did you find this?" She bugged out. Like she was screaming. She was like, "I forgot about this."
Oh my god.
Yeah. But my mom thought funny, so they're like, "You shouldn't be reading this, but we're gonna let you read until you get sick." And then I'll turn the next page, and then I'm nauseated, and I'm like, "Yep, we're done."
I was just about to say, listen, I done read some books, quote unquote, that I'm like a couple pages, and I'm like, I don't feel well, and then I'm like, I can't finish this, and I'm just like petrified.
That's how you know it's legit, because if you're nauseated,
I was like, I don't think I should be reading this.
Like the what is it? First of all, the acknowledgement should have like all the Orcha names for like several pages anyway.
Like, what is this?
And if none of them don't sound familiar to you, you gotta talk to your elders. Like, excuse me, who's this? Start asking questions. Always ask questions. Always ask.
Like, there's no book on palo.
No, because for me, there's only one legitimate Orcha handbook, and it's the one that you fill out when you begin your, like, as an Iyawo. It literally is like, you remember the DARE handbooks that they bring to school that you gotta fill out?
The DARE. I'm done.
Yes. It's like that, but it's like, I flipped through it and I said, I need this book, because it starts off with the Bahada, the mark that you get, and then like it needs the testigo, so you write like their English name and then they ask for their Orcha name. Yeah, so if they don't got that, oh boy, I need to actually pick up that book now that I mention it.
I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, literally, when it comes to those, I've had those types of dreams as well with with the dead people. I had one where I woke up and I was in like a room that had like bay windows behind me, like 3 windows, and then like in front of me there was 2 doors, and there was 2 different rooms, and there was one room that was just like a bunch of people, like a subway car almost, full of people sitting up, like Africa. And the next room, it was 2 elves, like 2, like, so as soon as you walked in, it was like just shelves on the side, and the pots was sticks, just like on the wall, sticks.
Oh no! A box with sticks?
Pots, yes. Pots.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Hold on 1 second. That's okay. I mean, there was one. I had like, I don't even know if I felt high. I didn't know if I was tripping or if I was seeing things, but I know I was awake in my living room, and I look at the what is it called? I look at the front door from where I'm sitting on the couch, and I shit you not, I see like materialize in front of the door, like the marks that are put in front of the palo de muerto, the egum stick. Oh. And I saw it like build up and materialize like something out of a fucking Christopher Nolan film. It was just building up. I'm like, what is this?
What is?
Are you saying I need this?
Yeah.
What is going on? It like all the everything. I drew it out to my elder, and she's like, oh yeah, I know what that is. Then I'm Googling. I'm like, no, this follow stuff don't look right. This is not it.
This is not it. This is exactly.
This is not it.
Like,
right.
So
at that point, I had to be objective.
Is literally its own it's its own practice, because Palo is Palo, Santo is Santo, like Vodun is Vodun, like all of these, religions are very. Those
And
are
once
solid.
you get to that Mesa Blanca, it's like so many different, like Sanse, and then Espiritismo Cruzado. For me, I better be clear, I just do the Mesa Blanca. Different Espiritistas have walked by me and said it looks like different things because of where they come from.
Okay.
But the common denominator is they're like, why are you not in 21 Division? So that's, that, but then I'm Dominican. So it makes sense as to why it would look that way without me being instructed on how to do it. It's weird. It's weird, man.
I always see it as like this middle, like, connecting with the African, is
right.
Wherever you are.
Exactly.
I feel like it's like the middle ground where, there would be some people who more other, but that's just like a middle ground kind of space where you probably wouldn't cross paths with certain people because they really into church and you're not, or you really into Ocha and they not, like stuff like things that, but people still found a way to have this space together,
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I mean, so I have found this essay by this Puerto Rican woman who was raised in Vermont, and she, was talking about how there's only about 6,000 Latinos in Vermont.
God damn.
And even the smaller number than that of them were from the Caribbean. So, like, her engagement with Santeria and Espiritismo and all of these things, was very limited. Like, her grandmother was into it, but you know how it is, where it's like, she was just very separated from her grandmother in that sense. Like,
right.
I was raised with my grandmother. I'm going off this essay. I don't know this woman, but the way she described it, she wasn't up under grandma like that. Like trying to get her to be interested and involved in this stuff, but she really wasn't. But when her was dying, then of course now she wants to get in. So
goddamn,
she's going on a hunt. She's interviewing people. She plays, and she ends up at a girl's house in the Bronx. She's out. So she explaining, like, I guess giving her perspective on what the year in white looks like was right. So like it was she was giving me Vice news, like how they like I'm sorry, you know what the fuck I mean, okay? So Vice, they
and then explaining Iyawo to somebody who like it's
like she was not being as respectful as I felt she could have been. I don't know, like her perspective, her tone was a bit rude. Like, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. I was not feeling it. I'll send you the link, but it was really she was just really on some other shit, and then it made me think about, well, she was raised in Vermont, a whole bunch of Puerto Ricans up there, opposed to us in the city, and being able to, even in our 20s, come into practice,
right,
or have even people to just do something as a woman up in Vermont who, God forbid, she really needed some damn help with her shit. Where's she going?
Lord help me. There's no one in Vermont that's gonna help her. Maybe Boston.
Maybe Boston. Maybe.
But I don't know about any folks in Vermont. I mean, you'd be surprised. It's everywhere.
It's
but, everywhere.
I mean, when we talk about this being like a tradition, like, what do we, I guess, owe ourselves and owe the community?
Ideal. I mean,
ideal. Like, oh God.
Because, well, granted, it's becoming more open now. Like, everyone knows who the hell Oshun is. So yay. And thank God now more than ever, because we could all use a little Oshun energy. But um it's it's so complicated, because even I in the beginning was skipping out on a lot of the rights, like the step by step. We just jump into it without giving it much thought, not really calculating just how that it's a whole, like you mentioned earlier, and I say that too to people, that it's a lifestyle change. Things change, things aren't the same, especially once you start to get deep into it and you get like those taboos. But I guess we can uphold tradition and keep things sacred once we start to respect ourselves, but not like in an individual sense, because I'm sure everyone's got a lot of self-respect nowadays. Everyone's getting into themselves, you know. It's taking time, but you know, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. You know, the rights for women, the rights for trans folk, the rights for gay folk, rights for anyone who's basically not white. It's taking time, but we're getting there.
We're getting there.
But within that comes respect for culture and cultural integrity. So that, not to segue, because that's a totally different topic, but I'm back to you know, I'm on the side of like, can we keep some black things black, please? And can we make it uncomfortable for people who are not black to be so comfortable in those spaces? Like you in the 90s, you know, when that white guy at the party would do the raise the roof joke, and all the black folk would turn around and look at him like, why? How dare you use our language?
You said raise the roof.
Raise the roof, because it's always that one comment, really, because they'll use they use slang. Americans generally that are from outside of black communities will use slang that's outdated, because black language moves so quickly. But you know, that's like respecting culture, understanding culture. So people need to go the fuck back. People need to go back. People go back by doing ancestor work. They go back by cutting the bullshit. Just because your mother doesn't talk to your grandmother doesn't mean you can't have a relationship with your grandmother. Like little things like that. That respecting yourself. Yeah. Respecting everybody. It's you know, it's a lot of work. You know. Doing the work. This is part of doing that work. Everything is work. Everything. Getting up in the morning and brushing your teeth and washing your ass is work. People don't want to do it. Some people gotta do it. Some people don't like to do it and do it anyway. You know. Some people enjoy doing it. You know. It's different for everybody. For me, I respected the tradition when I started to understand culture. And who I was, and where I was in, you know, if the world were a line, where am I on this line? In the midst of like everything, black, white, Hispanic, non-Hispanic, Latino or not, like where am I? Because it matters. Because if I'm not paying attention to it, everybody else is, and the rest of the world is. So even though I don't give a shit, I need to be aware of all of these little things, because they apply. It applies. It fucking applies. And the first thing for me was realizing that everything that I do, everything that I eat, the music that I listen to, the reason why the Spanish that I speak sounds the way it does, the reason why the music that we play and the religions that we do, why they're so heavily influenced by this one little place in the middle of the world, everything kept on pointing back to Africa. Mm-hmm. So it was like, okay, am I just doing African things that speak another language? Yes. So then I just have to get into like the blackest frame of mind that I could. And that's realizing that, you know, not that blackness comes with oppression, but oppression in America is so intimately tied to blackness. And not to victimize myself, but I'm an oppressed person. I can't paint. I live in the middle of the fucking hood. My family is working class, non-white American people. I'm a first generation American because my father was not born here. He was born in the Caribbean. My mother is a first generation American. Like, we're not from here. And we carried all those traditions and those practices and things with us, and they're not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Why does it persist so much? Why is it here? There's a reason why some of the things, like me, compared to many other Puerto Ricans, a lot of Puerto Ricans can't dance salsa, can't speak Spanish. Not that Spanish matters, but I think salsa is more of a Puerto Rican thing, of a Caribbean cultural thing than the Spanish language is. The language unifies us, but there's a lot of cultural distinctions that are unifying us in a different part of the world that we're choosing to ignore. And a lot of that comes with self-respect. Respect the fact that you have an African ancestor. Even for the whitest of a Latino, their African ancestor is so far away. But that white Latino today lives in a culture that is so black. So ridiculously black. Like, there's no undoing it. You strip away the Spanish and you have everyone in Puerto Rico speaking English, that's going to look like fucking Alabama with summer all the time, all the day long. Louisiana, excuse me, because there's a lot of white folk in Puerto Rico. It's going to be Louisiana. I go to Louisiana, they're going to call me red. The minute they see me off the bus, before they even find out, my name is Elliot. Oh, you definitely red. But then they hear my last name, they're going to go, oh, well, no, now you're something else. You mixy for sure. And but here, regionally, because of all the mixing, there's a more definitive line as, who's black, what's not black, what can be black, blah, 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 blah. But individually, we can uphold tradition as a community if we start with self-respect, because then that leads into, respect for the fact that my neighbor is just a different, light in the prism of, this thing that we're in. It's alive.
It is alive.
For me, I was able to do the work, I felt like, overnight, because I had an easier time because my dad is like Roberto Clemente and my mom is like Mariah Carey.
Okay.
So I didn't have to do much work okay, I'm black. Like, all right. And then you go a generation later and my grandmother's the only white one, my mom's mom. Like, white, textbook white woman. Everybody else, no way. No way in hell. Especially dad's side. Like, it was like, all right, we do this. We were raised Catholic, Deacon Catholic. We were baptized on certain days. All these days happen to line up with a whole bunch of Espiritismo dates. And I say Espiritismo because December 4th is Chango's day in Ocha, but it's also celebrated for many different saints in Espiritismo. So, right. So the dates have significance in Espiritismo, and I'm always pestering my mother. Grandma had something to do with our baptism dates, because there's no way that my mother, I take her to do Bajada ceremony. I guess it would be Ifa because it's a Babalao that precedes it, but it's something done in Ocha to determine, titular saint. And for her whole life, her grandma would tell her, tu eres hada chango, tu eres hada chango, tu eres hada chango, tu eres hada chango. and I would ask my mom, did grandma ever do a year in white? Did she ever have this? Did she ever have that? And it was always no, until recently she started to remember, yes, grandma did have a whole bunch of things. But my mother never did the year in white. Speaking to elders, they go, oh, that's something from rural Cuba called Santo Lava.
Okay, what's that?
You're washed with the saint. Literally, that's what Santo Lava is, washing with the saint. I'm not sure of the method. I'm not going to speak on the method. I don't know how it works. But I understand the concept is basically getting crowned in utero. Right. It's out of my jurisdiction. I don't know nothing about it, but that's the extent of my knowledge. That's the simplest way to put it, and I'm sure it's not that simple, but they're going to say, it's such a thing, and it's called Santo Lava, but it's not 1, 2, 3. I'm sure it's just as complicated as when you get crowning through the traditional method. But when we go to Ifa, when we go to Orula, who does she come marked as fucking Chango? Cabosilio Chango. So... Wow. It's like, that was a test for me, but that was more of an intimate. I wasn't questioning God. I was questioning a lot of other things because I'm a man of spirit. But it's like, is it really all the same language? And that was it for me. That was a personal no. And that was also confirmation for me and my mother. Like, you can't go around touting that you're Chango and then Ifa is something else. Right? Because then that's a danger to her. It's a danger to everything. But coño, let's look at this. look at this. So, like, you know, my fere fue un orisha, for real. And, you know, it was also her challenging her own, like, color, learning her, like, self-respect. Now she calls herself a person of color. Her dad is like Cab Calloway, obviously black, but did not, you know, wasn't as dark when he came here to the Americas. But my aunt, who is a black woman, my mother's biological sister, half-sister, remembers giving him a perm. It was like the joke of the century. So they recognized his blackness because they saw, quote, phenotype that, you know, he may not be trigueño, he may not be colorado, negro, moreno, but we can see that this is a man of very recent African descent, strong enough that in Arizona, he's got a big nose, like they said, and his hair thick enough that it needed a perm. And then, like, the first thing my other aunt, who's half Vietnamese, my mother's other sister, first thing, because this was part of the Egun work, my mom didn't know her dad. So we had that. This is what got me started in the family tree business. My mom dared me to find her dad because we needed to find grandma's birth certificate, but I did my research, and then it turns out the church was destroyed in a hurricane, and it took the church and the pastor with it. So, like, birth certificates from certain years are gone.
Oh my God!
And they're housed in the friggin' National Archives, and you got to book an appointment to see them. And I wanted to do that when we went in August, but COVID, so there was no way.
Drama.
So this was back in 2012, but you know, she dares me to find him, and the only reason why she dared me was because the genealogist that I got in contact with sent me instead the birth certificates of my grandmother's brothers, which was like mind-blowing because, one, I didn't think something like that would exist. A birth certificate from like 1913. What? Could you imagine? Like, no, really, like, what? Right. And like, now I don't laugh at people who think that because we're not afforded that luxury as people of color. Maybe some African Americans from the South, you know, they got the family Bible. They know about the family Bible and everyone's obituaries and death certificates and stuff in the back, and the funeral cards and with the psalm and the whole nine. African Americans have that step ahead in the genealogical game as far as the diaspora is concerned, but they have a roadblock because everything stops at abolition in 1860, and the majority of planters at the time, and the legend is, I haven't found anything, but I'm based on the fact that I can't find slave registries, leads me to suggest that the legend is true, that they really did burn all the evidence and got rid of everything that suggested they were ever slave owners. Not to hide the crime, but like the shame. Which, you know, like, I can empathize with only because my grandmother's grandfather was a slave owner.
Wow.
Which was a lot for me to digest too. Like, once I started getting the documents and I started going deeper and deeper, that was a big, like, blow. Because it was like, I couldn't believe it. I wanted to assume it was like my great-great-grandfather's brother or uncle of the same name or something, but it was him. And his name was Fran, and it traumatized me so bad. I know February 29th, 1872. Francisco was 46 years old. And my great-great-grandfather released him for humanitarian reasons. So I don't know what that means, but I'm hoping it's sincere, because it happened a year before slavery was abolished from the whole island.
Okay.
Yeah. So
maybe he was.
I don't know.
We can hope.
Maybe it was his dying. Maybe it was his dying wish too.
Yeah, you know, like he was like, "Nah, I don't want to go out like that."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'm not sure, but his granddaughter and which would be my great grandmother, and her two sons, my grandmother's brothers, ended up being racist anyway. So I don't know. Like when my grandmother married a black man, they said you can't have that. But she's like, I already got 2 kids with him, so what we finna do?
Like, so what's the plan
What's
here?
the plan here? He's a baseball player, played for Santurce in Puerto Rico. He was fine. Grandma was getting it on. But like, you know, today, like, my mom says her mother's racist. I think it's a generational thing because she married that man because she wanted to be with him. You know what I mean? Maybe she did it for, like, you know, prejudicial reasons, like, oh, black men, you know what they say about black men. Who knows? Whatever. But
she wanted to be with him in the time.
She wanted to be with him. This was in the middle of the 1940s. This was before the war broke out. So, like, and she's still alive. She's 96 today. So, and she got Alzheimer's, so it's not like she's gonna remember a lot. But I'm sure if you mention names and photos, it'll come back to her. But I wish she was of sound mind, because to draw things from her memory, to know what she has seen, and to gain perspective of what Puerto Rico was like from a racial perspective in the 1950s and 40s. Because here, I don't know what she got. She was a single mother of, what was it? By the time she was my age, I'm 29. So by the time she was my age, she was a single mother of 3, living in New York on her own, just divorced, because she had given birth to Maggie, who was half Vietnamese, my aunt. And she was living on her own on the Upper West Side right after World War II. So, like, who knows what it was like for her as a woman. A white woman that didn't speak English. And shit, luckily she had her sister who helped her survive, but from then on, right there is when she began her journey with espiritismo, because my aunt remembers everything beginning then, and my mom remembers it trickling into her teenage years. So from 1950 something well into 1980, 82, 83, around the time where my uncle decided to become a born-again Christian and made her throw everything out.
Oh, no.
Yes, was how long she practiced.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
That is terrible.
Nearly made her convert. Nearly.
Oh, that's very traumatic.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, it was taken away from her, and it was taken away from subsequently everyone. But I feel like she manipulated her way in by choosing baptism dates and suggesting names. You know how grandmothers are. That would be me as a grandparent. It's like, nah, he's going to be born when? Damn it, a Pisces. Not that anything's wrong with Pisces, but like, I imagine my child wouldn't want a Pisces child. For their sake. I don't care. Give me all the signs. I tolerate y'all.
Hilarious. But so true. With grandma was like, I'm gonna get in where I can,
my way,
and I'm gonna have my way. And you know, thank God she did that, because it's like, I mean, I can't believe your uncle would do something like that. That's terrible. Right.
Based on what my mother suggests, I think if my grandmother was crowned, her mother and father combo is, I've never heard anything like it. Oshun with Babaluaye.
Wow.
That is some shit.
That is. Yes, that's very powerful too.
Right. And
powerful.
I think so, or either Obatala, because she did things. As a woman, you might know the history of women in the Americas. So I'm gonna say that she did things in the 1960s that were only available to women, because they were not available from doctors, because it was illegal. And that's that. That's that on that.
That's that on that.
And that's how, I guess that's how strong of an espiritista, herbalista, curandera she was. That she did those things. And other things that my uncle remembers. So for him, it was a traumatic experience. Me knowing what I know about spirit, that man could see the dead. no problem, like in his waking day, because he remembered grandma taking him to some woman's house to do witchcraft. So he said that she made this mark on the floor with white powder, threw liquid on the floor, and there were candles burning, and he said he saw her control this dark shadow come from the ground, like rise up, and she pointed to the door, and he said he watched that sucker walk out.
What?
Yes. It traumatized him. It's what made him convert experiences like that.
Oof.
Yeah, so like if you had a profound visual experience like that, and that's what brought you to God, baby, that's all I need. That's all the confirmation I need, sir. Thank you. I am definitely gonna get crowned now. You're telling me I can tell the bad juju to walk out and it's gonna walk out? Excuse me?
Excuse me?
And he was walking around. This is before my mother was born, so this is like 1962, 64. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And she was at her prime then. Mm-hmm. People came running to her. Yes, ma'am. Yes, to the man.
Wow.
So it would have been a spit in, God forbid when she passes, it would have been a spit in her face. It would have spit in whichever bloodline is responsible for gifting her that. It would have been, like, and then I'm the only of the family. She has 8 children, 17 grandchildren, and she's a great-great-grandmother. And
You're the only one.
Me and my cousin's daughter, Jenny, are the only 2 that openly practice, but Jenny's in 21 Division.
Okay.
Right. Because her father's Dominican. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
And that's crazy because it's literally like when you have things that run in families.
Check this out. So Jenny was dating a man named I think his name was Angel at the time, or Jesse. I think his name was Jesse. Jesse and I first met at a funeral for Jenny's aunt. My cousin's wife had passed away.
Okay.
And yeah, so everyone was there, and it was the first time a lot of people in the family had saw each other. So everyone on their best behavior, please. Someone died. You know how that shit goes. And Jesse and I hit it off. Cool. It was like we've been friends forever. So he was like, "Yo, I want to invite you to this party for San Miguel." I'm like, "Oh shit, say less. I'll be there." And we go, and I bring my mom and my sister-in-law, and it was great. My mom dances with Jesse, who ended up being the caballo, so he's the one who ends up getting mounted and doing services for people that night. And my cousin Jenny, who was my mother's grandniece, ends up being the blast, the one who attends the caballo and everything. They dance. My mom does one dance with Jesse and looks at Jenny and says, "Don't leave this man." Please, like, I don't know what it is about him, but just don't leave him. You'd be stupid to fuck it up. And so the night goes on, and it's a good night. Everyone's hitting it off. And finally, it's the end of the night. We send my sister-in-law home. Jenny speaks to my mother and I on some family shit. And then we go back upstairs, and we're hanging out. And there's this Jesse's uncle's in the room. And he's talking about this family member that he went to go see, blah, 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 que si yo que de la Cruz. And I'm like, oh shit, my grandmother's de la Cruz, but she's de la Cruz, she's called Porán de la Cruz, and he looks at me funny, like I cursed him out, and he goes, "Excuse me, where do they live?" And I'm like, "They live in Hamilton Heights. They live off Broadway." And he goes, "You got a cousin named Erika?" And I'm like, "Señor, Erika's my aunt." Turns out this man was a cousin of ours. So Jesse's related to us through my father.
Okay.
And my mom me and my mother are there with her grandniece, my cousin, on her mother's side. And my parents are divorced. So the first thing I say to my mother is like, "There's no getting away from this fucking family." But it was fucking crazy. Like he was like, yeah, that he was like, yeah, I got a cousin Junior and Jetty. I'm like, I'm Junior's son. Like Raymond's my father, and he like started bugging out, and it was just a crazy. But look at what spirit does, and it happened again recently. A relative on my mom's side found me on Instagram because I've been chatting with her cousin, and it turns out that she's an espiritista that works with a gentleman that I know in the neighborhood. So everyone knows everybody, you never know who's gonna know. That's why you gotta be like nice, tranquilito, self-respect, respect yourself, respect the spirit with people. Once you start to recognize who walks with people, you got less problems. Stand to the side of children of Ogun, because they're gonna push you out the way to get to what they want. So just stand out of their way. Don't test Obatala's patience. Simple rules. Listen to Yamaya. When Oshun says something to do, do it. Don't test nothing.
Yeah, it's well, like parents will think about what the larger picture is, and like why these certain families have these ties with each other, or like why they, choose to come and work with certain people. There's a certain kinship there that's bigger than practitioner. There's a whole network of people and spirits and love, essentially.
Exactly.
And I don't know, I just really this is one of my favorite parts of my spiritual process, like tending to my muertos and like to my Bobada, and just having that time with them.
Like, what's another story I got for me?
Oh gosh, because it's always something. It's just like there's always something new.
Like that dream that I had with the people coming out of the tree, that didn't happen until I learned this story of my father's side of the family. Basically, great grandma, who's still alive, she's 97. My father's mother's mother. Bam.
Okay.
She's still alive. She's in the Dominican Republic. Her father, they said that he and his family, they killed each other off one by one, all the men, to possess the land, because they owned a large amount of territory in Santo Domingo. I don't know where. No one knows where it is. And they were just rich. Their wealth was in the land. They weren't, bougie. They had a lot of fucking fertile earth. They were able to grow anything and everything there. And they started to pick each other off one by one, and they got to the point where it was just Emerita, my great grandmother, who was 13, her aunt, and a couple of other kids. And they were the only survivors, and they had to walk from wherever they were to the capital, where they set up shop and they stayed there. And Rafaela, my great grandmother's aunt, died in 2016. She was 104.
Wow.
And she was of sound mind. So if I would have been able to meet her, I would have gotten the details.
All of the
I would have gotten the details. But the interesting thing about this family was that since the colonial era, they've never seen a day of enslavement.
Okay.
Another thing that, that like freaks you out, because here you are thinking all these black people are enslaved in the Caribbean or just outside of Africa, and there's very few that don't know what that's like, never knew what that was like. And I mean, like, I'm seeing that the family de la Cruz, on page after page, because I've read the books page by page of all the birth certificates, and you'll see that the de la Cruz family just happens to be free, and then there's other black people that are listed as slave of this person, slave of that person, slave of that person. But when you get to a de la Cruz person, they're not enslaved. And I'm talking like it went on for years, because the pages go days, months, years, the further you go. So it's like it went on and on and on and on and on. It went on. That the men were emancipating their wives and the children in marriage. It was a lot.
See, and that is how deep it goes when you are really committed to working with your spirits and getting down to the real stories of who they are.
And they did not show face until I learned those names.
And
That's
it's like,
when
no,
that shit
like,
happens.
because it's like they want to see that you committed, you know, like they
Yeah,
already
you
down.
found us.
They want to make sure that you down. You know, that's really how they be coming at you too. They be like, why you talking to me?
Like, why are there no cotton balls in a bowl here? Like, why?
Like, what is going
that?
on? You're like, oh, I didn't know that's what you wanted. Okay,
You need to have indigo cubes all the year round.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they said you need to have indigo all the time. The madame, I said, I need indigo in this water all the time.
And you're like, okay,
yeah,
all right, I'm gonna do it. And you're like, Russian.
That was at a misa. I'm like, oh, she's picky like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She don't want cigars
like that. You know, they do. They're very picky.
I love
like
it though, because it's you know, there was someone alive in your bloodline who was this. They were this, and this is how you give them that, you know. You give them a little so light, specific. They open the doors for you.
And it don't ever be anything that feels like it's too much, right? Like when they tell you, you're like, okay, oh my, that's it. Like,
the one thing that was too much was figuring out which kind of liquor she wanted. And it was like literally sitting there in front of her and like just staring with the candle, and I'm there with the joint because I needed to relax. I'm like, I can't. And I'm like, okay, it's brown liquor. And I felt good. I'm like, all right. And I'm like, it's sweet. And I felt good. And I'm like, you want, what was it that I suggested at first? I know what it is now because I put it in my head, but I suggested something else. But it ended up being amaretto. She wants Di Serono. Because of the nut that it's made out of. It was because of what it's made out of. It had nothing to do with it being that liquor. It had to be something made out of almond.
See, it's that specific, and you'd be like,
yes,
and you'd be like, what, almond?
Yeah,
and then you trying to find, like, oh, okay, amaretto.
Amaretto.
And yeah,
I'm trying to figure out what the first one was, because there's something close to amaretto that I was stuck there. Oh, I thought I backtracked. I thought it was an anisette, which would be aguardiente, but that was a no. And anise, that comes from anise. Aguardiente is made out of anise. That's why it tastes so much like licorice. That's why a lot of people don't like it.
I like it.
I love aguardiente. I'm not supposed to drink, but that's the only one that I'm like, you know what? You know what? Maybe.
You know what?
Maybe. Can I refresh your muertos real quick?
May I
just a little bit?
Just a little.
You serviced your legua today?
Oh God! He's like, yo, you cannot be that pressed, sir.
Oh, imagine.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God. No, for me, alcohol was the first. I had no problem. That's how I knew who I was going to be. Because the year before I had Bajada done, my body was already rejecting alcohol.
Wow.
And I mean, like, I couldn't even drink a beer without being sick for 2 days. It was bad. Like, oh, I'm allergic to liquor, I guess. No problem. That saves me money. I'm already a federal piehead. Sure. Hell, save my wallet the stress, for real. Not that I drank like that, but still, you know, it cost a pretty penny to go out.
It does.
A pretty one, not too crazy, but it could be
pricey. That also changed, like, being do certain things, like when you engage in with spirits, because
right,
like,
I'm ready for the damn tattoos.
I can't really fuck with no more, and like certain situations, I'm just like, oh gosh, like I don't know, I'll walk in and I start to feel, you know, different things, and it'd be like,
that's when I knew I was getting old, because I would go out to my favorite places. And I would see the people there, and I'm like, I don't even like half of y'all. Why did I spend this money coming over here? But then I realized I didn't. I biked over, and it was good weather, so it doesn't bother me to bike back home.
But you just get there. As soon as you get there, you're like, I don't even be here.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Bye.
Like, that's just me the fuck out.
Yeah. So, that is one thing I will say. I do spend a lot of time home with them.
What?
And I don't mind. I mean, I run into. I find,
for sure.
Like when I'm out and about, it's always oh hey, how you doing? Oh my gosh, I miss you. Oh my god, like I always. So it's not like I'm like a hermit or anything like that. But
no, they send me out. They're like, "Here, you gotta go take this to the river, baby."
Exactly. Like I have, I have tasks. I have things.
Like, yeah, I got something to do. Can you meet me here? But come after this time, because that's when I'll be done with Ebo.
I'll be
you gotta
done
meet me over here so you don't catch no show. For real.
You can pick me up.
You don't want to pick up this shit.
Okay. Let's go out.
Unless I'm giving thanks, then I don't mind if people come with me.
Yeah, but like if I got something to do, then like give me.
Nah.
And even that, I mean, like even like dating and relationships, like you have a different perspective now when you are, already committed with your spiritual practice, and like you're meeting people or you have people in your life that, your priorities with them may shift, and they might not really understand that.
I need someone who's not gonna bat an eye at what I do. Because and I wouldn't even allow myself really to get too close to someone who would, because I would sense that from the beginning, because I wouldn't really enjoy being with a man who doesn't embrace their culture, and not to like, what do they call it? What's the word? I like to keep it tight, so I'm not gonna date anyone who's like not Caribbean or not Black. Period. I refuse, like, culture shock anywhere else is going to be, you're gonna be like a tourist attraction should you date a white person, or I don't want to deal with that. I've had enough of that, and I want less stress in my life, especially when dealing with other people. So that's something I would sense in the beginning. Like, yeah, if this man is not enjoying salsa, or is not going to enjoy the fact, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, God forbid we're living together, if they can't stomach the idea of 9 a.m, I'm waking up early to practice my fucking piano, and they're not ready to hear the same song 5 times in a row, we can't be together, baby.
Like, we cannot, it's not going to work.
I mean, that's suggesting I have like your basic 9 to 5, and I'm only home on the weekends, which I don't aspire to do. But these things need to be calculated.
These things do need to be calculated. Like I personally would probably need to still keep my own home.
For sure.
If I get married. Like, I feel like my house is so much more than just my house. Like, I feel like I just work here, like there's other, okay, I got, I'm just a guest. And I keep things running smoothly, and I change the water, and I keep the perfumes, and like, that's my job. That's steward.
Kind of like my opposite. He better get crowned too, or at least be crowned already, god damn it. I'm not, I don't see my life not having that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're gonna, like, yeah. Which is complicated, because dating within the tradition it has its own taboos, and then usually the ones that you end up being attracted to, you can't have anyway. Like me, it's always the fucking drummers. I can't touch the drummers at all. They're married to Anya, so it's no. It's a no. It's a no for me.
It's a no for me.
Just off the bat, like, I don't even look at the drummers anymore. It's like, whatever.
They're always so cute. It's terrible,
right? And then Osha's not the place for dating anyway.
No, so, it's not.
Things happen. People connect, and you can't control what happens outside of. You just got to make sure they're not like a cousin in Ocha.
Exactly. So it's like that's why it's not. It's just, listen, you could look and just mind your damn business on
right. They'll come to you,
like,
because usually you're the new fish anyway.
Like, but we're not here for that, right? Like, we're here for the spirit.
I mean, no. I mean, I did it happen to me? No, not well. No, I went to an event, and if the person who I ended up like, oh, like looking, I was like, oh wow, he's handsome. I didn't know he was a tambolero until I saw him at another event and saw him drumming. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, wonderful. Which is interesting because the majority of everyone at the event was gay. Like, it was a gay-ass ultra house anyway. So I found it funny that, you know, he was one of the few married men. Shit happens. But that's all in... The more you go out, and that's another thing, you can't expect to be part of this tradition or any tradition. I guess the only one where you can lock yourselves up for some time is Espiritismo, but even then you have to go to misa.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot not talk to other Espiritistas. It's not something that happens. And then Espiritista is really... Espiritismo is so El Legua's playground. Because it's so many different doors that you can go through once you start. Because once you go to misa and everybody...
Hello.
Hi.
Much better. You know what? It's Bluetooth headphones. Bluetooth headphones suck. I'm going to stop using them.
Oh, yeah, because then you never know when they're going to die.
Right. You sound so clear and amazing now. We had technical difficulties.
Okay.
Right. So what was the last note?
So the last thing that we left off on, we were talking about...
Gently about misas. Right. I'm gonna leave Misa as a mystery. I want them to be surprised by what happens. But Misa, I guess the closest thing that everybody knows would be a seance.
Yeah, that's
what I tell people. It's a seance. It's a seance, but it's not as give me 1 second. It's not as hocus pocus or hokey pokey as it is in the movies. It can be sometimes. But you're not expecting to see people floating or
no. It's
it's nothing comical like that. But it can be very fantastic in the sense that it's almost like fantasy what you're hearing, because it's like, how can this stranger be so keenly aware of not only what I'm going through, but how I feel about it? That's what blows my mind about Misa, is that they tap into the emotional essence of it. It's not just, oh, that man is treating you like shit. No, that man makes you feel like this. You gotta tolerate that? Like, it can be shocking. It could be offensive if you're not ready.
If you're not ready, it could be
it can be intense. I guess the best advice for you, if you have Misa coming up and your elders have been also like hiding things from you about it, be an open mind. Don't cross your feet, because people like to sit comfortable like that. And for me, it's all in good fun. It's nothing to be taken light, but it's all in good fun. I have fun. Even the most intense experiences for me have always been fun, because I'm in good company. I'm aware of what's going on. My elders treat me with respect, and they treat me like abure is, or what's the other word that I learned? Popo, I think, is the other one for brother or sister.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I think it's Popo. I'm gonna double check. But yeah, I had to ask my friend. I was like, "Is this abure?" Pero sí, it's so fun. But one thing, and this is what I'm gonna co-host with you right quick. For me, one thing I had to get comfortable with was the presence of Catholic prayers. Cause like once you step into your blackness, it comes with fuck Catholicism, fuck whiteness, fuck white Jesus. But some of your ancestors kind of fucked heavy the long way with white Jesus. And
yeah, it's like
and it's gonna be them speaking. Not that the black folk aren't gonna be speaking, but for example, for me, one of the Espiritistas at the Misa said, she was like, whose grandmother or like female ancestor was super Catholic? And I was the only one that was Latino in the room. Everybody else was African American or like from the Caribbean, from the islands where Catholicism is not really that big. I was the only one that fit the description. And I'm like, my great grandmother's, she spent a lot of time at the church, according to my grandmother. She's like, because I keep on hearing the Ave Maria and the church bells in my head. And it's, you know, like things like that happen. It's like, okay, so I got instruction as what to do with that. I know what that means. So to me, that tells me that my great grandmother was also hip to shit. Because why was she doing this specific espiritismo thing at a church? Mm-hmm. All the time, to the point where like the Ave Maria was the one playing in her head of all the hymns.
Well, you know, it's like how we use Catholic prayers in Misa, and like there are some Egun that really don't fuck with it at all, right. And then there's some where
that do.
If we think about what it means to have a tradition, it means that the energy that has been accumulated in it over the time span that it's been going on is there, right? And it's like that is that.
You just put a seed in my head,
right? Like that well of energy is there, right? So it's like whether we personally fuck with, you know, white Jesus.
Right.
It's like this is a vehicle that has been working this whole time.
And the prayer itself
itself works. You know, why do I want to cut myself off from this experience because of my personal feelings towards
ego versus spirit?
You know, like that don't have nothing to do with me, right? Like if this is what works and it's going to connect us, then I'll do it, you know? And I also will develop my own relationship with these words. And
for sure. I'm tapping into that technology now, like bibliomancy. I don't know if you do that at the Bóveda, where you...
Listen, I got my grandmother's Bible. I be in here with my little Bible.
Oh, you could do it with the Bible too, but there's specific the prayer books, like some of the Alec Kardec ones, and then other like that's when you get more into like a Espiritismo Cruzado and the more Latino ones.
Okay.
So you could do it with the Bible as well. You would genuflect with the Bible. You would do the sign of the cross and just shuffle to a random page and you read, and that'll be your moment for the day. With the prayer, you know, you find yourself doing that, and for me, I end up landing on certain prayers on certain days or at certain times. And there's something to the prayer. We have to remember that this is a technology. There's a reason why these muertos want this prayer all the time. It's not for you. It's for them. They're the ones that you're elevating. They're the ones... It's like an operator in the Bóveda as a telephone. You pick up you knock on that door, and whoever is going to be servicing you that day, you have to service them as well. It could be transitional spirit, it could be Egun, it could be Ara Onu, it could be Muerto, whoever you want to call it. One thing it's not going to be is Orisha.
No, it will not be Orisha.
You're not going to find Nkisi at the Bóveda, maybe underneath it.
No.
But, you know, Bóveda is just for, you know, spirits in passing, familiars, and for the collective and for the intimate dead, for your Egun, for Egungun, collective dead, for everybody. And you can tell who is knocking at the door back when you're tapping into certain prayers, because you'll hear from your family. The more that you start to ask questions, they'll tell you, oh, your mother or your grandmother or so-and-so worked with that saint, or this person or that person. So I know whenever San Lázaro is popping up, that's my aunt's husband, her late husband. I know when certain other people pop up, who I'm still learning who in my family that is, because they pop. And I mean, they pop up. It's like the sign cannot be ignored popping up. And it's a hello, you've yet to connect my dot. Can you please figure out who I am?
And it sends you on another adventure of
figuring
out
learning
who this person is in the web of family and why.
Yes, ma'am. So my father says that his grandmothers are Metresili and Anaisa. The one who's represented by Metresili passed away in 2015, but the Emerita, the one who descends from that family of long black folk, is Anaisa, and that's 21 divisions. So that's separate from Espiritismo. However, you will find those people popping up at the Bóveda all the time.
Well, Elio, this has been a very, very enlightening talk. I feel that...
I hope it has been. I'm still... No, disclaimer. I am not an Iyawo. I'm an Aleyo. I am still... In the genesis, in what do they call it? In the gestation period of Ocha, I am still a sperm cell looking for the egg.
Yes.
That's how young I am. I'm not even implanted on the uterine wall of Ifa.
Like, I am still a free-flowing sperm.
I'm
Flowing
still.
free
I
in
haven't
the
even passed the
breeze.
cervix yet.
Has not
Just
reached-
got there. I just got there.
Just got to the party.
I
That's
will, however, reach the egg on Friday, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
It
This was. I'm humbled by this. This was nice. Thank you for allowing me to share the what is it? Cistern of knowledge, because it constantly collects information and then distributes some for the drinking.
A cistern. That is a great analogy for the repository.
Right. The Library of Alexandria.
Yes.
Before
Yes.
everything.
I appreciate you for sharing with us and the listeners. And to everybody at home, you have listened to the How to Be Magical podcast. And my name is Nikki, and I am the owner of Soul Things Botanica. You can find me on Instagram at SoulThingsBK. You can find me on Facebook at Soul Things Botanica. You can find me on the web, soulthingsbotanica.com. I also still have pieces available, and I will have something special for the month because it's my birthday month. So I'll be away.
Libra, Scorpio, right?
Libra, October 17th.
Ooh, neighbors. Hey, have fun.
So,
oh my goodness. Oh my God, I think that's if the 14th is San Francisco de Assis. If I'm not mistaken, who is Orula? Yeah, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's October 14th.
I'm gonna look.
Yeah,
Okay, we're
have
gonna
fun
look
with that. Yeah,
That's our little homework assignment.
there you go. There you go. That's
Okay.
That's a fun thing. Everybody go look up their birthday and find out which saint's closest to you and drive yourself nuts with that. You are not related to that saint at all. That's not what I'm saying.
That's not what we're
Just have
saying. We're
fun.
just saying. Everybody just find out
Who's the patron saint of your birthday, if applicable?
if applicable. Closest saint.
Right.
Hey y'all, it's Nikki. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the How to Be Magical podcast, The White Table. I hope you enjoyed it. I had to do a lot of editing and things like that with this episode because we had a bunch of technical difficulties, as I'm sure you guys have heard. But I'm thanking you so much for making it all the way to the end of the episode. And please be sure to check out the blog with more show notes about all of the things that me and Elio discussed. Please also be sure to check out the website. There will be a sale going on this weekend. It is my birthday on Saturday, October 17th, as well as a couple of other special milestones that I'm celebrating this entire month. So please check out the website, soulthingsbotanica.com. You'll see things that are marked down. You'll see some new items being listed, some items available on pre-order. Thank you so much for everyone who ordered the Hoodoo Heritage Month edition of the Dream Waters. I just added a couple of more. And thanks to everyone who ordered the Dream Journals. Those sold out, but I am taking pre-orders for those as well. So please check that out. I think that we are in a very magical month of October. We are dead in between two full moons. And if anything, between this episode and last week's episode, I feel that everyone is going to be feeling very encouraged and very confident about moving forward with their ancestor journeys, with their astral journeys, with their dream work. So I'm just trying to keep everyone supported on that front. So please check it out, soulthingsbotanica.com, all of your spiritual needs there. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at soulthingsbotanica@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram, soulthingsbotanica, soulthingsbk on IG, and soulthingsbotanica on Facebook. So thank you so much for listening to this episode, guys. I love you all. Happy Hoodoo Heritage Month, and happy birthday to me.